If you want a lesson on government corruption, just start looking into the USDA, the US Department of Agriculture, and you'll find out some stuff. Funny enough, I've tried to make a video like this before, but I got so angry that I just had to walk away from it. We've been going through a series going through all of the cabinet members and what they do in their role in order of succession. Because as we hear Trump announce his cabinet picks, a lot of people wonder what these people even do. And next on the list is Secretary of Agriculture. I'm going to do my best summarizing the role and the entire department, but please know this is just scratching the surface. Now let me start with something fun, something lighthearted. President Abraham Lincoln actually signed the legislation into law that made the USDA. He called it the People's Department because at the time, about half of all Americans lived on farms. Now, this is what the USDA does. Of course, the secretary is in charge of all of this. So it says we provide leadership on food, agriculture, natural resources, rural development, nutrition, and related issues based on public policy. So really, the Department of Agriculture does a lot more than just agriculture. Now, I read through some of the Farm Bill, which is a 1,400-page bill that really dictates everything the USDA does. There's so much in it that makes you wonder, like, what does this have to do with our farmers? Here are some of the things in the bill. Number one, helping families make ends meet with things like the SNAP program. Improving the quality of life in rural communities. So this is like rural development where they give you grants and loans to develop rural areas. And tackling the climate crisis. Here is my probably very unpopular opinion, but I am definitely open to hearing your side. You can definitely convince me otherwise, but I kind of feel like all three of these things should be in other departments. I really think the SNAP program could be under Health and Human Services when you have like the FDA, Food Drug Administration. Shouldn't they be taking care of SNAP? And improving quality of life in rural communities. So shouldn't rural development be a part of housing and urban development? You know, I know it's urban development, but it's also housing, which is what rural development does. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about that. For the climate crisis, we have an EPA that's under the Department of the Interior, so shouldn't that go under that? Those are the questions that keep me up at night. Let's talk a little bit about Joe Biden, Secretary of Agriculture, and then I want to talk to you about Trump's previous Secretary of Agriculture. The current secretary is Thomas Vilsack, and he actually served under Obama as well, so he is about 12 years into this role. Between Obama and Biden, he went and actually became a dairy lobbyist. We love that for us. And let me just read this to you to put it into perspective. The USDA has had a history of promoting the interest of corporations in charge of the nation's food supply, regardless of administration. This nonprofit group researches and tracks the relationship between officials working in the government and the industries they are supposed to regulate. This is called the revolving door. You are making policy about those industries, and then you go work for those industries and profit off the policy you just made. How our small farms are doing should be the biggest measure on how that department is doing. Between 2017 and 2022, the number of farms fell. Of course, the small farms saw the biggest decline, while the mega farms actually saw an increase. This was under both of the last administrations. After 12 years of being in this role, only recently does the secretary actually want to change course to start supporting small farms. Going back to this article, they asked the current secretary, hey, when you're done with your term, are you going to go back into lobbying? And he definitely did not want to answer that question. Now let's talk about Sonny Perdue. He was Trump's Secretary of Agriculture. Man, if you just want to get angry, go ahead and read this article. It's just the perfect example of government corruption. In short, Sonny Perdue bought this farm for $250,000. Seems innocent, right? Well, the farm was actually worth $5 million. It was owned and sold by ADM. Of course, ADM is owned by Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. Shocker. So there's a lot of speculation that this land was sold for such a discount, basically to bribe the secretary to make policies that these corporations like. And under his leadership, they lowered the nutritional standards for school lunches, making school food unhealthier. Now, enough negativity, let's look to the future. It is highly speculated, or at least highly hoped for, that Thomas Massie is going to be the new Secretary of Agriculture. He did say that he's been in Florida, and that's where a lot of people are interviewing with Trump and his team. He is probably our best congressperson we have. It's really sad that he would leave Congress, but our our farmers and our food are probably more important in this moment. So we will see when Trump announces his pick. Just know that this department is full of corruption and it's going to take an army to clean it up. As always, let me know your thoughts about all of this. What do you think about Thomas Massie taking over the role? And make sure you're following me for more.